agree EU positions on the issues in question. The Council Secretariat of the EU has established liaison offices in New York and Geneva to ensure community in its work. The European Commission's long-standing relation with the UN system has been further strengthened in recent years through the conclusion of a series of strategic partnerships and memoranda of understanding with a number of key UN agencies and other bodies. The structured relations build on comparative advantages and further develop policy, dialogue, and technical cooperation. In the context of the common foreign and security policy, the EU speaks whenever possible with a voice in the General Assembly. Since the beginning of the 1990s, the EU has displayed increasingly unified voting behavior. Even before the 2004 and 2007 EU enlargement rounds, most of the candidate countries already voted in the line with the EU member states. The EU member states and the European community is the UN's largest financial contributors. The EU member states will provide around 38.5% of the UN's regular budget between 2010 and 2012. The EU member states are likewise the largest financial contributor to UN peacekeeping missions to tune of 40.2% in 2010, and they also provide around half of the budgets of the UN funds and programs. Cooperation takes place on a broad range of areas: development, addressing climate change, peace building in conflict-ridden countries, humanitarian assistance in crisis, fighting corruption and crime, global health concerns such as AIDS, HIV, labor issues, and culture. Due to its institutional setup, the EU speaks unilaterally for its member states in such areas as agriculture, fisheries, and trade. The area of peacekeeping of the EU cooperates with the UN by finding its own missions and operations within the framework of the common foreign and security policy. These have included, for example, the successful EU operations EUFOR RD Congo, which was established in 2006 to support the UN peacekeeping mission in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, MONUC. Also, through the establishment of the African Peace Facility, the EU has been providing the African Union with the funds of the peace missions and for the development of an African security architecture since 2004. This is indeed to enable the states of Africa to resolve the continent conflicts in an autonomous and self-reliant manner. The EU is by far the largest donor in the area of development assistance. More than half of the EU funds made available for development aid worldwide come from the EU member states. The EU is also one of the most important financial contributors to the UN program's special organizations and funds. Payments from EURAID, the European Commission Cooperation Office to the UN, quadrupled in 6 years. EU member states are also frontrunners in the ratification and particular implementation of new conventions, protocols, and Security Council resolutions aiming to combat terrorism. The European Commission gives active support to assist third countries in the implementing UN standards. The EU furthermore strongly supports the work of the EU Security Council, Counterterrorism Committee, and Al-Qaeda Taliban Sanctions Committee. In addition, the EU and the UN are active in the fight against drug trafficking and organized crime. The first International Convention Against Corruption came into force in December 2005 and has been signed by 140 member states. As for international trade cooperation, with the General Agreement of Tariffs and Trade and within the World Trade Organization has encountered international trade and generated considerable economic growth over the last 50 years. However, the 49 least developed countries have only 0.7% share of the world trade. In the current talks on world trade, the so-called Doha Development Agenda, the EU has made the integration of developing countries into the multilateral trade system its highest priority. The Doha Round is to promote sustainable development and fight against poverty. Within the wider trade and development context, the EU supports the UN Conference on Trade and Development in its integrated approach to trade and development. The EU promotes the role of UNESCO and the field of education education, and protection of world cultural heritage. As signatories to the Convention of the Protection of the World Cultural and Natural Heritage, the EU member states have committed themselves to protecting World Heritage sites on their respective territory. 27 EU member states are currently home to 320 of the 830 World Heritage sites. The European Community and EU member states have recently ratified the UN Convention on Protection and Promotion of Diversity of Cultural Expressions, which entered into force in 2007 with the aim to create an enabling environment of the diversity of cultural expressions and societies. On the whole, this close partnership between the EU and the UN proved remarkably successful, which shows a perfect evidence of an efficient synergy on the supragovernmental level. Hopefully, the next coming years will further broaden and deepen already wide scope of cooperation and aim. I'm so confident that in the first half of 2011, during the Hungarian presidency of the European Union, Hungary will be a proactive and genuine proponent of our common European values in the international arena. Thank you very much. This was an address on topic of the EU and the UN on behalf of Her Excellency Ms. Judith Land, Ambassador of the Republic of Hungary.
Every marvelous thing, I may say, in the world needs two things. Needs innovation, in our case EU, and the second thing you get it when I tell you who's the next speaker. I present to your attention the director for the Bulgarian branch office of the Friedrich Ebert Foundation, Mr. Mark Menardis.
You didn't say what was the second most important. I guess you referred to my presidency. No, I think he was thinking of money. Yes, I'm very happy and proud to be here, being praised as the main sponsor of this event. So let's officially start. Dear Excellencies, dear important guests and leaders of today's world, but more important, dear Excellencies and most important leaders of the future world. I'm excited, flattered, proud to be here and to assist now for the second time in a row the Sofia model of the United Nations. I see the nations united here, and that's what you're going to play. And yeah, why the hell? Am I doing this? Because this is my job. My job is to promote democracy and social justice. This is what the German government gives me this precious taxpayers' money for. And together with my colleagues of the Friedrich Ebert Foundation in around 100 countries all over the world, we are trying to do to make this world a better place. To quote Michael Jackson, which is exactly and I've been in this job now touring the world. I belong to this very strange caste, a tribe of global nomads who, without roots, run around this world and work and try to make it a better place. And I've been working in Asia, in Africa, Latin America, Eastern Europe, Africa, and now back to Bulgaria. And one thing I know for sure, and I've been working for the United Nations for a couple of years as well, is that if we do not get our act together and work together, then we as a human race in this planet will rather have a bigger chance to ruin this planet than to survive. So doing what I'm doing, giving money for such an event, is at my very heart, and I think that is the best investment into the future of outline that I can do. Therefore, the keynote speech with all the content, unfortunately, was already written, so I don't have to tell you about the relations between United Nations and the European Union. In fact, it was a little bit an idea when we discussed after the last years that we should probably also try to model a little bit the European Union, and I'm very happy that this is the first attempt. Good luck. Have a very exciting week. I know that it's a hard work, but I hope also that you'll have time to enjoy a little bit the surroundings and beauty of Sofia, and I hope the weather will stay as it is. No, it won't. Even the rain is nice, so what? Thank you again, good luck, and I'll be with you.
Ancient Chinese philosopher once said that apart from doing something the best way is to continue doing it. In this sense of words, we, the Sofimun Foundation, together with the partnership of the Club of International, express our gratitude to the generous sponsorship, generous diplomacy, and generous, should I say it in a little bit unfun way, fans supporting us in the face of Mr. Dr. Mark Reynaldos and the Friedrich Ebert branch in Bulgaria. Thank you very much again. Talking about continuosity, the Sofimun Foundation is also proud of the fact that we gather every year a big support league, should I say. In this sense, we have the support of over 10 ministries of the Republic of Bulgaria. In Bulgaria, we don't have more than 15 ministries nowadays, so to gather 10 ministries to support an event is a big achievement. I won't bother you with all the ministries, but I would like to just mention the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Culture, the Ministry of Finance this year. Also, such an event as the Sofimun gathers the support of the city that is hosting this event. This is the Sofia city, the capital of Bulgaria. One of the ancient cities in Bulgaria, one of the most ancient cities in Europe. Maybe you find it a beautiful city, or you find it a beautiful city in 5 years' time when you come to Sofimun 8. Let's hope so. The fact that we gather a big league of fans and supporters doesn't only conclude with what I just mentioned. We have the support of the European Commission to Bulgaria from the very beginning of Sofimun back in 2008. We have enlarged our European support by having also the European Parliament representative here in Bulgaria. Also, the United Nations system in Bulgaria. Never minding the fact that UNDP Bulgaria has just closed its doors because they have finished their work in Bulgaria, we still have the support of the United Nations system in Bulgaria. So we would like to thank also the UN system in Bulgaria for this, that they continue doing the best thing, that they continue. This year, as you know, we also tend to have different diplomats, embassies, also partner the event. Apart from the above mentioned during the ceremony, we have the partnership of the United States of America, the Embassy of the United States of America, which is one of our general sponsors this year. It is interesting to say that our first meeting we were asked, why didn't we sponsor you 2 times in a row? And we answered, well, we don't know. And they answered, well, we will sponsor you this time and we'll continue on doing this. Thank you very much, USA. This is very generous, and we appreciate this, and we hope that you continue doing the best thing. The Embassy of Germany, one of our partners this year, the Embassy of Netherlands, the Embassy of Austria, the Embassy of Italy. Apart from these embassies, you'll be seeing most of the ambassadors of these sovereign states as guest speakers in your councils, in your committees, in your organs as a whole. I would like to say that we have also special messages, should I put it in other words, greetings to the participants at Sofimun 3 from the UK ambassador and the Italian ambassador. However, they will not be able to come to the Sofimun this year, but they have sent their best luck and good wishes for Sofimun 3. We continue on with the National Palace of Culture. For those of you who are Sofimun addicted, should I say, being here from 2008, continuing to 2009 and now 2010, you remember how Sofimun grows, develops, enlarges. So it's because of you, because you come here, because you show your best you have, and this is what the Bulgarian people say. If you show the best you can show us, we'll give you the best we can give you. So we try every now and then to give you more and more things every year. If you see it also this year by having this wonderful place as our opening ceremony host. So thank you very much, National Palace of Culture. Devin, Red Bull. Devin is the mineral water which you'll be drinking. Red Bull, okay, Red Bull should I present it? Red Bull. Anybody doesn't know Red Bull? Oh, you don't know Red Bull? Well, there are two ladies outside. They'll give you a Red Bull if you want. Yes. Thank you. This year, as we said, we try to develop the conference as much as we can. We also have medical service if anyone needs this. Let's hope we won't use this. Let's hope about this. Media partners. The Sofimun event is proud to have the Bulgarian Telegraph Agency, BTA, as its media partner, the Bulgarian National Radio as its media partner, the Bulgarian National Television, and the most popular private sector information agency, Focus. Also, we're proud that from this year we have a newspaper, Dnevnik, which is one of the, let's put it, economic-related newspapers in Bulgaria. We also have Public Republic, an online media for Bulgarians abroad, and Obstestvo.net. Okay, later, after the ceremony, the participants will be going on to their gala dinner at the traditional Bulgarian restaurant, the Yafata, at the Yafa, should I translate it? The traditional gala dinner at the end of Sofimun is again on the top of the National Palace of Culture, at the top, highest place on this building, Sky Plaza Restaurant, so put your best suit on there. Or maybe not the best one, maybe you'll ruin it. Anyways. You will have lunches at restaurant Mati Tea. Again, this is very good because of a very good cooperation with Sweden Habit Foundation, and because Mati Tea, the restaurant which provides lunch, have a good discount for this event. ADCD Consult is providing coffee, so you'll be drinking a lot of stuff, as I was today told, not only coffee, but many other hot drinks. Photographic is providing you with t-shirts for Sofimun. Whoever hasn't got his t-shirt, please approach one of our staff members. Sveta Design is providing many of the PR materials and the PR of the event. And Jar Computers has made us a big discount. Okay, not to trouble you with more ministries, sponsors, partners, I'll say just one thing now. In the sense of continuing to do good things, most of the Sofimun team belongs to an organization which has 105 years heritage, legacy. The international branch in Bulgaria, the Sofi International Rotary Club, is one of the main partners of the Sofimun Foundation, the Sofimun event, as most of us being Rotarians, or should I say Rotaractors, because we don't have 30 years of age. But, however, we have the support of Rotarians in the Rotary Club Sofi International. So, now I present the current president of Rotary Club Sofi International, Mr. Ian Reeve.
Good evening, delegates, honored guests. Lovely to see you. Nice to see some familiar, friendly faces. It's also nice to see faces I've not seen before. This is not a masquerade, by the way. I'm 100% Scottish. I wear the kilt for two reasons. One reason we wear the kilt on very special occasions is a way of honouring a special occasion. That's why I wear the kilt today. It's a very, very special occasion. I also wear the kilt because I'm honoured to be president of Sofia International Rotary Club, which is the only English-speaking international club in Bulgaria. We have delegates, we have members, I should say, from around Europe and America, etc. I'm very proud of the Sofia International family because we have the Rotary Club, we have, as you just mentioned, a Rotaract Club at age of 30, and we have two Interact clubs, which is school Rotary, from age of 14 to 18. I'm enormously proud of our Rotaractors who work very, very hard to actually make this event happen. It's a great event. I don't know if you're all familiar with Rotary, but basically there are four avenues of service in Rotary. One is to strengthen fellowship, and I think you'll find that at the end of this week, you'll have made lots of friends and you'll have a lot of strong fellowship with people from all kinds of different countries. The second area is to promote business ethics. The third area is to support community projects, which Rotary tries to do very hard in Bulgaria. But fourthly, and not lastly, is to foster international goodwill and cooperation around the world. And that is for that reason that we're absolutely delighted in Sofia International to be part of this wonderful, wonderful enterprise. The values of Rotary are very similar to the values of United Nations. There's no incompatibility there at all. I lived in Sofia through my choice. I now live here permanently because I think it's a great place to be. I think the weather is a wee bit better in Scotland, that's for sure. But there's also other very positive things about Bulgaria. So for those of you who are here for the first time, I hope you make the most of your time in Bulgaria. I hope you have a great week. I shall look forward to meeting you again during the week. And it's a great pleasure and honour to be here today, and you enjoy yourselves the rest of the week. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Now, I find that a very important message I have, well, not the Bulgarian language one, but the translated one. Yeah, the editor was obviously this is one as well. Okay, now, the Sofimun Foundation is also part of the fact that we develop good traditional cooperation with the state of Bulgaria, no matter the fact who is in power or who is in cabinet, no matter the fact is that right-wing, left-wing, center party or whatever. This can be seen through the fact that we started 2 years ago, we had a different cabinet, and now we have a new cabinet for 1 year now. We have received from the Vice Prime Minister of the Republic of Bulgaria, Mr. Sofimun, should I say a very good letter? Okay, I'm going to read it to you. Dear participant at Sofimun 3, please accept my congratulations for the 3rd edition in Bulgaria of the most famous type of youth activities in the world, a model UN. The event traditionally gathers the best students and young professionalists from different regions of the world. I'm happy that our state is again hosting such prestigious forum. This year, once again, the young and ambitious, we'll see about that during the week. I hope you're more than young and ambitious, I hope that you're even fruitful. People would have the opportunity to feel the atmosphere, the climate of the councils and commissions of the European Union and the United Nations Organization. I'm convinced that this will help the participants to turn academic knowledge into practical decisions. I hope that the discussions won't last only as a simulation, but will turn into real and precious emotion for the participants. Apart from having guest speakers on economical, financial, and other spheres of important areas of international policies, I'd like to say that I'm very grateful for the fact that you are here today. I believe that the discussions will bring new knowledge and perspectives for every one of you. Apart from all this, I hope that the forum will leave you great memories and you'll come back again here next year. I hope that you will be able to touch the culture of Bulgaria, meet with the people of Bulgaria, and I hope that this won't be your first and last coming to Bulgaria. Good luck to the third edition of the Sofimun Conference. Vice Prime Minister of the Republic of Bulgaria, Mr. Sofimun. Now, apart from having this letter, today at approximately 1100 hours GMT plus 2, again time, we received another letter. We received the content of the letter of the mayor of Sofia. She, well, it's a she deeply excuses herself for not being able to come, but she has other engagements planned from a while. So, here goes. Please accept my greetings for the third international conference, the Sofia International Model United Nations. Acquainting young people with the work of the United Nations Organization and the European Union through participation in activities that concern the two international organizations gives the participants opportunities for their own development. I congratulate the organizers and the hosts of the Sofimun Conference for the fact that Sofia is now one of the capitals which works on the current issues that concern the world. At present times, there are more than 150 MUN simulations around the globe, and the development of international activities is an important part of the work of Sofia municipality. I'm happy that Sofia now has a tradition in implementing these kinds of activities. Let me wish all the best to the third edition of the Sofimun Conference. Mayor of Sofia, Ms. Jolanta van der Kool. I'll conclude my presence here today in front of you by saying that I'm going to say many things during the week, but I'm going to leave the best in 7 days' time, and I'll give you the best in Sky Plaza at the Galleria when we close Sofia. Thank you.
Foundation, please.
Like the two previous gentlemen, fix the microphones. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, your excellencies. First of all, excuse my voice, but it simply shows that I'm having a really great time, even before the official start of the conference. I am really happy that we managed to organize Sofimun for a third time, because Sofimun is not the Bulgarian conference, it's not my conference or Dimitri's conference, it's a conference of every and each delegate that comes every and each year here. Same goes for the chairs and for our Secretary Generals, Presidents of the EU, editors in chief, vice editors, etc. For everyone, it's of everyone else. So I'm really happy that we managed to do it in times where, unfortunately, we had to live with the fear of volcano ash and world financial crisis. This could really influence any MUN. Fortunately, it didn't influence ours. This year we're even bigger. As a 3-year-old child, we are growing up to 7 panels in the conference. This year we're doing for the first time simulation of the European Union bodies together with the United Nations bodies. And our media, to which I'm personally attached very much, is also developing as one of the most modern media in the MUN world. However, none of this would be possible without a few people that is my honor to present to you. This is my team, and once again I'm saying mine not because they belong to me. but because it's an honor that you know those people. Because for the last 7 months, the people that I will present to you now have worked so hard, have forgotten every single piece of their private lives and everything else in order to prepare just this 1 week of Sofimun. Allow me to present you the team of Sofimun, the executive committee of Sofimun, my team, my people, the best people in the world. I will start with the conference manager, Mr. Boris Dasan. And we'll continue with the 2 people that actually approve your applications. We're looking very carefully in your CVs, motivation letters, and even pictures. Those are Ms. Kristina Kovacheva from Bulgaria, Mr. David Fowler. Our wide publicity and wild as well will not be possible without a person that is very talented in media. Even though that was her first experience, our public relations manager was extremely successful. This is Ms. Iva Dicheva. The person you address all your personal questions, such as when you arrive, do you need a coat, do you need an umbrella, something like that, was our secretary, and she was patient enough to answer all your kind of questions. This is Ms. Ljubka Kotova. Mentioning the media of Sofimun and all the multimedia products, this EMEA cannot be possible and fancy and sparkling. We need a person that is talented in the IT sphere. For a 2nd year in a row, we are blessed to have Mr. Petko Popadinski as an IT manager. Last but not least, there are 4 people that were running, still are running, and will continue to run around all over in order you to feel very, very well here. They are generally called logistics. However, every single one of them has its own specifics, and it's a fantastic person. I will start with the only lady in the team. This is Ms. Magdalena Zhelyaskova. Another devoted logistics and Sofimun fan is Mr. Zborov Karastoyan. A newbie in the EMEA world, however, very, very much devoted, is Mr. Ljubomir Želejanov. Last but not least, a very experienced EMEA already, Bulgaria's youth delegate at the UN, Mr. Atanas Mihnev. This is my team, and at the end of the week on the closing ceremony, which is going to be a lot less formal than this one, I promise, you will see why I am so happy and proud to work with those people, and I love every and each one of them. Thank you very much, guys. I'm not going to hold your attention anymore, being the president. However, I'm also a person, and I understand that you've heard enough. However, you haven't heard from the most important people here. This is why it is my greatest honor to give the floor to a very special lady. This is the Honorable President of the European Union of Sofimun 2010, Mr. Jan Goran.
Your Excellencies, honorable guests, distinguished members of the Executive Committee, all of you, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen. For the next minutes, I will try and follow Mr. Churchill's idea of a speech in line with the skirt I'm wearing. I will try to keep it short enough to be interesting, but long enough to cover the essentials. You all know the reason why we are here, that is Sofimun. It is safe to say, and I'm sure that you will all agree with me, this event is more than a conference. It is a way of life. Expect the next 6 days to be the perfect cocktail of new people, brilliant thoughts, new experiences, and certainly an unforgettable adventure. You are all, or will be familiar with the concept of an MUN. For those of you who experienced it for the first time, after the first day of committee session, you will understand why an MUN, and Sofimun in particular, is addictive. Be that as it may, at the end of the week, we will look back and say, it was awesome, but brief. It was fun, but quality time. I was here, it was memorable. The Sofimun family welcomes us once again in the beautiful city of Sofia with the same warm hearts and open arms as they did last year, and for those of us who witnessed the birth of baby Sofimun also in 2008, being determined to do everything in their powers to make us feel like home. And I personally do. I came back to Sofia after exactly 1 year, but it feels like time has never passed and the dust has not set either on our friendship or our memories. This year's edition of Sofimun comes with a series of innovations, beginning with the European Union body simulation, continuing with the International Court of Justice, and the interactive and improved SNN. The press. They're both useful for your lobbying activities and dangerous with the famous gossip post. So use them wisely. But there is one specific novelty during this conference that will definitely spur the Monroe, the Political Figures Night. A thematic party centered on important political figures of all times, it is the perfect opportunity to pay respect to the people that changed history and make our first steps in the same direction. All in all, Sofimun offers plenty of occasions to get acquainted with all the benefits of such an event, but nothing is more exciting than those very first committee sessions. The first time you motion for a point, the first time you remember idea when your time has elapsed, the first time you're called to order, the first time you drop the resolution. Those are the moments that remain in our collective memory as the cornerstone of a conference that is both an academic exercise, learning exercise, but also an excellent opportunity to prove yourself that you can do so much more and impossible is nothing. This being said, I'm convinced that you will have an amazing time here in Sofia. You will find your way through challenging topics and fruitful debates, but most of all, you will meet new and outstanding people that will hopefully become your friends. There is no greater feeling than knowing you don't have to wait until the next MUN to visit a city or a country, but you can always visit your friends. Don't be afraid of the unknown. Eventually, every master was an amateur first. Thank you for your attention and enjoy Sofimun.
Governing the United Nations bodies. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Secretary General of Sofimun 2010, Mr. Hans Landers.
Good evening. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear members of the press, dear members of the Executive Board, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank you also on my behalf for in Sofia, the third edition of Sofia International United Nations. For me personally, it's the third time that I'm here. It's also the third time that Sofimun is for me the reason for coming to Bulgaria. In the next 5 to 10 minutes, I would like to focus on what Sofimun is and how it relates to the previous editions. I'm very sure that it will be very exciting, but also a very intense week. One may characterize Sofimun in many ways, and coming from the Netherlands and having had a World Championship in South Africa a couple of weeks ago, I will not use anything that is related to soccer. Instead, however, I'd say one can compare Sofimun to a painting. And a painting is part of a triptych. For those of you who are not familiar with a very difficult word, it's 3 parts that together comprise a piece of art. Let me first focus on the triptych. if you've been to the first edition of Sofimun, then you've seen that laid the foundation of what we have today, what we have here. It's also been an experience that captures the imagination of many people, many of whom are also here today. By then, it also showed us what Bulgaria, what its people here and amongst you as delegates have to offer to us. The second edition last year grew and advanced in terms of people, in terms of nationalities, at an even higher academic level. And again, the same vibe and energy that was there at the first edition. It is through new concepts, the one that Georgiana also already mentioned. It is through even more people that are present here today. It is through the Sofimun News Network team that will cover this conference. And it is through a very strong chair team. We're all sitting here in front. And I'm very, very confident that we can get the full potential out of this conference. I also hope that with this edition we can lay a basis for many more years of Sofimun to come, and to complete a triptych that can even withstand the most critical and demanding audience. Let me focus on Sofimun as a painting. I dare to say that if Sofimun is a painting, then it's a true masterpiece. Here tonight, the large outline is already visible on canvas, and even some details and colors have been added. It, however, requires more colors, more details, and a finishing touch. And when we have that, we can frame it and put it up on the wall next to the other two editions. What is unique about Sofimun as a painting is the fact that it has many artists working on it. Artists, you are the artist. And you're working it together. It's on those artists that I would briefly like to zoom in, as once again, you made what is Sofimun. You made what is Sofimun in 2010. Like every piece of art, it starts with visionaries. People who not just have the idea, but also the creativity and the willpower and the energy to drive it through. It's in this respect that I would like to give respect to both Paul and Anita, as well as the executive committee, for once again working very hard through the past year to make it possible for us to be here. To use the analogy with the painting, they made sure that at a certain point we had the canvas and all the things to paint. They drew the large lines in it. It was for us to fill them further in. Let me focus briefly on the painting, the pencils, all the materials that we need, as well as the support. And this is where I would also, from my position, would really like to thank all the people that have sponsored. Your Excellencies, also for your presence and your moral support. As it wouldn't have been for you that an initiative like Sofimun exists. I mean, it's such an important contribution to an event like Sofimun. I'm very grateful for that. To stay in the analogy of Sofimun as a painting, it's got its full outline from November last year. When I had the pleasure to start working with Georgiana on selecting the council, selecting the chair team. When the chair team got selected in February and everything started running, the details were added to the painting, more lines came on it, even colors were added. Especially when we selected the topics, and it became really a thing to wait for, to look forward. Simultaneously to this chairperson's recruitment started with selecting all of you present here today. And who will participate this week as a delegate or journalist. That brings me to perhaps the most important artist of this conference. That's you. As delegates, you will add the colors, you will add the details, you will finish the painting, provided that last touch. That's what you're going to do this week. It's a very challenging task, and you will deal with very difficult topics, I'm very sure of that. It's also a task for which there are very few easy solutions. It will be intense, therefore, but you're up to the task, I'm very certain of that. I urge you, when dealing with the topics, to look for the maneuvering space within their positions without compromising them, because they form the point of reference for each one of you here. And also to look for, as true artists, to bridge the divides that there are between people, that there are between nations, that are currently not being bridged for whatever reason there may be. You have a chance here this week, sitting on the seats of the councils, representing, acting as ambassadors there, to make different choices. And I urge you all to do that. And once again, look for the maneuvering space you have in your position, because each position has maneuvering space. You just need the willpower to use it and to use it to its best advantage. On a personal and last note, as I don't want you very much longer here, there are two small yet very important things I'd like to mention. First of all, and also from a personal experience, Sofimun is an excellent learning opportunity. You can learn to lobby, to debate, to improve your public speaking skills, to work on resolutions, to learn about topics, about councils, about the functioning of the United Nations. From the side of Secretariat, we will do everything possible to make sure that you feel comfortable to do so, that you feel at home in a certain way to even make mistakes if needed, but to learn and to grow as such. So it's therefore absolutely not a problem if you're nervous or whatever about it. And we're confident that we can get you there and that you'll learn a lot during this week. The second thing I'd like to emphasize, also in line with what Georgiana and what other people have said, is that you will be together during this week with very bright and talented people from all over the world. There's many nationalities and differences among us. What you also find, I'm very certain of that, is that many of you are true characters in their own right, unique as such. You will interact intensely during social sessions, during the sessions at the conference, as well as during the social events. As you use them well and share this opportunity you have here to get in touch with each and every one of you, as it is really a unique opportunity, and many friendships have evolved from the first to second, and I'm also sure from the third edition. This is also the point where I personally believe lies the true value of a conference like Sofimun. It brings together people, and it provides you with a different perspective. And I'd say that's what we need. Leaves me only with one last thing to be done, and that's to announce this third edition of Sofimun to be officially opened. Thank you for your attention. There's one last thing for which I'm honored to do as well, is to present to you the chair team. Starting from first seat, Ms. Martina Ukileva. Sorry for me. Save the last difficult names, I'll use the first names, by which you can all address them. Our co-chair, Mihnia. They both chair the Human Rights Council. Commission Sustainable Development, Salim Yosh. Co-chair, Boyan. Then the International Court of Justice, Ms. Lena Ward. Sitting behind her is Ida Belinsky. The Council of the European Union, Maria Havelkorn. And this is Lara Krolega. Sitting on the second row at the back, Security Council, Pinio Limana. And Ms. Yanislava. by first names given their difficult last names. Sitting next to Plinio is Dino. And last, but certainly not least, Andre. We finish it. I forgot one important person for which I honestly apologize here.
Dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear delegates, thank you for enduring this 1 hour ceremony. I am the last one. As you know, the first and the last are remembered. The last one to remember is the Institute, the Open Society Foundation, which gave us the final push, which brought us over the line so we can make all this happen. And as a conference manager, I want to welcome you again in Sofia and hope that you'll have the best week of your life here. Thank you very much. Now, please, all delegates, all our friends, we're going to Yakuta restaurant. Please just get outside of the entrance, please, so we can go all together and have our gala dinner there. And another thing that I want to say to our honorable delegates, please, tomorrow morning, please all of you wear your t-shirts and be ready at 9:45 right in front of the hotel. Thank you very much and have fun from now on.